Good evening. You're watching Lookuptv. My name is Louis. It means it's time for the news.
The news headlines in association with
Those who are still interested in working with Kenya Airways should very quickly report back to work with immediate effect.
And Lookup News tonight. It's not yet exactly wheels up at Kenya Airways. Police pick up a third suspect in the murder of Kiambu businessman George Mwangi. And a private citizen says no to President William Ruto's PS nominations.
Yippee! Kamata plotting at 349k. Oh yes, for only 349,000 Kenyan shillings, you become a plot owner at the Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki. The Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki is located along the Nanyuki-Rumuruti Road, only 11 minutes from the Cedar Mall and right opposite Mount Kenya Wildlife Estate. This is the best place to establish the getaway home that you have always dreamt about. For every 349,000 that you deposit or pay as installment towards any of Optivent's plot of land, you get 10k cash back instantly. Jaza basi twende Nanyuki. Bigger is indeed better.
Kenya Airways will no longer engage in negotiations with striking pilots. Speaking at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Kenya Airways Chief Executive Officer Alan Kilavula says the management has already started the process of replacing the airports who choose not to work.
Kenya Airways pilot strike entered day 3 as passengers remain stranded with their luggages at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. All these as a result of pull and push between the KQ and the Kenya Airline Pilot Association (KALPA). Speaking at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Kenya Airways CEO Alan Kilavula asked the striking pilot to get back to work or risk being replaced, adding that the KQ management has already advertised the position for the pilots who are on strike.
In any case, like I said, we've already started disciplinary action and we've already started recruiting new pilots. So those who are still interested in working with Kenya Airways should very quickly report back to work with immediate effect.
Kilavula made a U-turn on negotiations, stating that there is no room for negotiation, thus asking the pilot to get back to work with immediate effect before they can have any talks.
We have said before that we are ready to talk to KALPA. However, now time has changed. We want them first to go back to work with immediate effect before we can have any discussions whatsoever.
According to the KQ, 25 pilots have already returned to work so far, while 137 others have called in to say that they are unable to fly.
We have already restored about 20% of our network. This is about 18 flights out of JKIA, that's from here. Tomorrow, we estimate that we'll be able to have crewed at least 30% of our flights. So slowly but surely, we are getting back to normal. At the moment, all I can say is that we filed a suit this morning for contempt. But like I said, we lost a lot of money, right? So people have to be held personally and jointly responsible for the losses and damages to this country, to this airline.
The 3 days strike has so far cost the KQ 900 million shillings. On a separate press briefing, the pilots have accused the KQ of intimidation, stating that they are ready to negotiate with the management.
According to the KQ management, the striking pilots have no any other option than getting back to work. Reporting for Lookuptv from JKIA International Airport in Nairobi, my name is Shadrach Kareria.
A third suspect in the brutal murder of the late engineer George Mwangi Husband to former Kiambu politician Gladys Njeri, alias Chania, has been arraigned in court. The suspect, John Mwikiriria, is said to be an employee of the late Mwangi. He disappeared the same day Mwangi was found dead.
The suspect, John Mwikiriria, an employee to the late Rwanda-based engineer George Mwangi Kamau, went missing on the same day as the deceased. He was, however, arrested at Karinga location in Gatundu South Sub-County by detectives and detained at Muthaiga police station.
Kwa hivyo nitaruhusu upande wa mashtaka na mchunguzi wa hii kesi waweze kukamilisha uchunguzi wao, na nimekubaliana nao kwa kufanya hivyo waweze kukaa na wewe pale Muthaiga police station kwa siku 7 na waweze kukupeleka katika maabara ya serikali wakafanye ile uchunguzi wanataka kufanya hapo. Pia nimewaruhusu wakutumie wewe uweze kuwasaidia kwenda kupata zile vyombo vingine ambapo vilitumika kwa mauaji ya marehemu, na kama zitapatikana basi pia zitapelekwa kwa maabara ya serikali ili iweze kufanywa uchunguzi zaidi.
The suspect will continue being detained at the police station for 7 days as detectives continue hunting more suspects and in-depth evidence on the brutal murder case of the late George Mwangi. Susan Njeri, Lookuptv.
It is reported that at least 19 people died when a passenger plane plunged into Lake Victoria in Tanzania yesterday about 8:53 in the morning while trying to land at a nearby airport, and this was flight PW 494 operated by Precision Air.
The plane left commercial capital Dar es Salaam and crash landed at around 8:53 a.m. while approaching Bukoba Airport with 39 passengers, 2 pilots, and 2 flight attendants on board. Rescuers in boats rushed to the wreckage, which was almost fully submerged, to pull out trapped passengers. 19 people are said to have died from the crash, as authorities say the 2 pilots who had initially survived the crash were pronounced dead due to lack of enough oxygen supply in the cockpit. However, the 2 flight attendants survived the crash. Meanwhile, Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan has called for calm as rescuers continue with the rescue mission. Marlon Orlando, Lookuptv.
A petition has been filed in court by Frederick Kiberi through his lawyer Dunstan Omari, challenging the nomination of principal secretaries to various ministries by President William Ruto. He argues that their appointment has not met the constitutional threshold.
Just a week after President William Ruto nominated principal secretaries to various state departments, Frederick Bikeri, through his lawyer Dunstan Omari, has filed a case in court seeking to halt their vetting and swearing in.
So we have challenged the nominations, and our prayer to the court is that let there be inclusivity of all the individuals being mentioned. Let there be a representation of at least all the counties, so that once those positions are approved by the National Assembly, those persons nominated becomes the public officers.
In his petition, Bikeri argues that the list of PS nominees unveiled by President William Ruto does not reflect inclusivity of the marginalized communities, as well as gender, regional and tribal balance. Through his lawyer, the petitioners say that the action of the president in nominating his close allies in exclusion of those perceived to be in opposition does not reflect his essence as a symbol of national unity.
That list does not augur well with the current constitutional dispensation. We begin first by understanding that the position that the current president, Dr. Samoei William Ruto, holds is a position that is created by the Constitution. So that as an office bearer of an office created by the Constitution, he is expected by law to act in the manner that the law suggests.
From previous record of the CSS, we completely, as Kenyans, saw that there was no vetting. Parliament became a conveyor belt. All the names that went to Parliament for CSS passed through.
Through lawyer Dunstan Omari, Bikeri argues that the nominations do not depict national representation, including but not limited to the youth, people with disability, the marginalized, and the elderly.
Ethnicity based on the face of the republic is purely the angle that there are 44 tribes in this country. The president has created 51 positions for principal secretaries. Therefore, it is prudent that each tribe, the 44 tribes, get one. So we are seeking orders to stop the names from going to Parliament until the question of inclusivity is dealt out with it.
Ian Keitani, Lookup TV.
The 27th meeting of the Conference of Parties under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is on its second day, and this is being held in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt.
To also seize this opportunity. After the first weekend's engagement on Sunday in the COP27 conference that tackled on distribution of food to Kenyans and other areas that were under the humanitarian crisis due to the drought effect, we should do in order to overcome these challenges and threats. On Monday, delegates centered the discussion on implementing stronger and applicable actions to fight the drastic climate change witnessed around the globe. According to the Egypt's Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, who has formally assumed his role as the new convention of the party's 27 president, taking from UK's Alok Sharma, the efficiency of curbing climate change is possible if the heads of state take charge of the implementations to overcome human crisis.
Climate change-related efforts over the past decades were remarkably polarized, which has slowed down progress of the negotiations.
The debate on the climate change has been on the drawing table in different conventions meetings where developed countries are asked to give a helping hand to the affected countries as well as developing nations that have faced the wrath of climate changes. In abiding with the agreement of the Paris meeting in France, the strategies will be put in place will help in mitigation of the drastic change of climate, thus ensuring that temperatures are normal across the globe and the challenge is controlled. Delegates from different nations will continue with their meeting in the next 2 weeks and ensure the agenda situated are tackled. Onwards, the delegates will bring to the table climate financing, environmental control, and agriculture. According to the drought disaster that has persistently led to the deaths of cattle and destruction of crops in Kenya, President William Ruto is the chairperson of the Committee of African Government and is expected to make his speech on 2 accounts, one for Africa and the other for Kenya. The event will end on the 18th of November. Mosa Sukech, Lookup TV.
The news on Lookup TV. Into a short break now. We'll come back with more.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
Hapa kazi tu inaendelea kuwasaka na kuwatambua wale ambao wanafanya kazi extraordinary na zile kazi za kujituma.
Biashara yote unaambiangwa, as long as you have a plan, you can do it. Our service is about to pressure the customer.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni hapa kazi tu.
Yippee! Kamata ploti na 349K. Oh yes, for only 349,000 Kenyan shillings, you become a plot owner at the Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki. The Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki is located along the Nanyuki-Rumuruti Road, only 11 minutes from the Cedar Mall and right opposite Mount Kenya Wildlife Estate. This is the best place to establish the getaway home that you have always dreamt about. For every 349,000 that you deposit or pay as installment towards any of Optiven's plot of land, you get 10K cash back instantly. Jaza basi twende Nanyuki. Bigger is indeed better.
Having been nominated by President Ruto to be our top cop, Japhet Koome will tomorrow appear before the Parliamentary Committee to be vetted for the position of Inspector General of Police.
After President William Ruto proposed his name to be Hilary Mutyambai's successor as the Inspector General of Police, Japhet Koome Njembere is expected to face the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Foreign Relations, Administration, Internal Affairs and National Security Committee. This is after outgoing Inspector General Hilary Mutyambai went for a terminal leave on medical grounds. Mutyambai's tenure was supposed to end on April 2023 upon the expiry of his contract.
This afternoon also, I have received communication from the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mutyambai, of his request to proceed on terminal leave because of his health situation. I have, after discussing with Mr. Mutyambai and in consideration of his service to our nation and his health situation, I have accepted that Mr. Mutyambai will proceed on terminal leave on the 6 months that he still has of his contract.
Until his nomination, Koome, who is also a civil engineer, was the commandant of Kiganjo Police Training College, and he has served as a principal assistant to the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Edward Mbogwa. Koome also served as a regional police commander of Nairobi till 2018. Parliament had given Kenyans 10 days to submit their feedback on the appointment of Koome ahead of vetting. According to Article 245, Section 2 of the Constitution, the Inspector General of Police is appointed by the President with the approval of Parliament after vetting. The committee will submit a joint report to the respective houses, which in turn will either approve or reject the nominee, and the Speaker will notify the President on the House decision. Section 6 of the article states that the Inspector General shall be appointed for a single 4-year term and is not eligible for reappointment. Edin John Mokora, Lookup TV.
At a special function, women in Kenya in the business sector have been honored and celebrated for the work they are doing. And in this ceremony held in Nairobi, Kirinyaga Governor, who was a guest of honor, and Waiguru, lauded the organization for giving women a network and link in their businesses.
with more women being urged to take the bull by its horns in sectors and industries that have been long been dominated by men. Women in Business Kenya has recognized Kenyan women who are trailblazers in various business ventures, ranging from real estate, legal practice, fashion, food and hospitality, manufacturing, among other categories.
For your exceptional performance and with great appreciation, this award goes to Mercy Maluli.
The chairperson of the Council of Governors and Kirinyaga County Governor Anne Waiguru urged women to support each other in the journey to equal representation and recognition in the Kenyan economy.
One thing I ask us today, as women in business, is that we strive for one goal only: keeping women in business long and deep enough that we have no business dropouts, that we do not leave before the end has arrived. Women in business should stay long and deep enough until we not only own large firms, but also manage the largest enterprises at the top level.
On her part, KEPSA chairperson Flora Mutahi has challenged women to invest in proper networking if their business are to drive both locally and internationally.
Network. Get comfortable with different people. When you go to meetings, I mean, one of the things that face women, and let's face it, is networking. I mean, we don't go to clubs and bars, okay, once in a while to entertainment, but it's not how a guy can go in the evening and today and tomorrow, and I think you'll agree with me as much as you're looking at me like that. But it's not, we won't go often, but you can network in meetings. When you finish a meeting, right now when COG was walking out, how many of you left? Several. Najua mnaweka jina yenu tu hapo. That is networking, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Women in Business Kenya CEO Mary Muthoni recognized the challenges that still exist for women in businesses in the country and challenged the government to prioritize lifting some of the constraints that are still an impediment for a majority of women in businesses in the country.
We start businesses and sometimes we do not know where to get market. But Kenya is a market in itself. If you could help us to have linkages with the counties and have inter-county trading to expand on the horizon, we can even create market days in those counties so that any person coming from Nakuru can comfortably trade with a person in Kirinyaga.
Edwin John Mukora, Lookup Business.
Conversations with Bwandi.